All right, Richie Mars, you're going to kick us off with Backlash. And honestly, I can't believe the previews are here because I feel like WrestleMania ended yesterday.
Yeah, it's a very quick turnaround. Not surprising because usually you'll have one WWE pay-per-view throughout the year where it's like there's a quick turnaround in shows. Even this year, we had Saturday night's main event one weekend, then we were right to the Rumble. So, again, it's not my company. Whatever they feel like their schedule is fit for, they'll see to do it.
Maybe I'm a little, like, I don't want to say worn out, but doing 20 of these pretty much was just, maybe that was just like, whoa, that was a lot for WrestleMania season. And then I'm here 2 weeks later starting and kicking it off. But there's no one else better to kick it off with my buddy Richie Mars. Richie.
Oh, thank you.
Elephant in the room. Cena, Cody. What does it do for the future of John Cena's run here? Does it tamper it or what?
The thing is, it's like, for me personally, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me personally, I didn't expect much out of John Cena, like in-ring wise. And when people ask me why, it's just like taking the rose-tinted glasses off of his heel turn, which was monumental. You look at his last performances with Solo Sikoa, with Austin Theory. You add in the fact that he hasn't worked the traditional heel style in 20 some odd years. You know, he even admitted himself he lost a step. So it's one of those things where going into any Cena match, it's going to be 100% nostalgia factor. And I'm not saying we're not going to see glimpses of John Cena here and there. Like we saw him at the Elimination Chamber against Punk. He still has some juice when put together with the right opponent. But with John Cena, he has a specific style, and him turning heel is going to change that style from traditionally what we know him as. So it's going to be a lot to ask of the fans to expect a great in-ring product from John Cena. Now, I'm not saying that, John Cena's ruining wrestling. It's a great idea for a character, because it's not, but it's they are coasting on the story, and they're banking on the story of this is John Cena's last year. And we're going to go through a race against the clock. Is he going to retire with the WWE Championship, be the real champion, or is that going to be interrupted before he sees the good? And that's the story they're telling. And whether people are like it or not, that's really going to depend on how they're going to take this year in WWE, in my opinion.
You're right. I had the reservation of being like worried about it as well, but they did such a good job of kind of throwing scenarios at you where he was going to be okay in the main event. And Cody really hasn't missed from an in-ring aspect. But John Cena closer to 50. And when they started with the finisher spams, like 5 minutes into the match, I was like, all right, that's weird, but it's a shortcut. And we're in the WrestleMania main event. Cena's long in the tooth, but I'm surprised they're relying on that already and going to that formula with Cody. I'm like, all right, there has to be theatrics and there has to be hoopla, and the last few WrestleMania main events, the bloodline rules and all that stuff. There has been, and with The Rock hovering around this, that's what I was coming about. Like, does The Rock overshadowing Cena's heel turn in a way, even though Cena turning heel was the title of the Elimination Chamber and the build leading into WrestleMania, but The Rock not coming out really did put a kick in the dick and really hampered the expectations of this monumental heel turn. That's kind of where I was coming from. The match was what it was. It really was like, it was 2-star, 2.5-star match at best, which is unfortunate, but I just couldn't believe on the cadence of the reliance of the finisher spamming right away. Really disappointed me. I don't think it's going to really necessarily kill Cody, but I think it puts a tarnish on him.
I mean, it's a way that it ends his run on a sour note rather than a complete note. With Cody, I don't think this damages him that much if the title just goes right back on him. But the thing is, it's like with John Cena and his heel turn in general, like there was an expectation set with The Rock there. Now people are going to say, it's like, oh, The Rock didn't say he was going to be there. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like The Rock didn't have to put himself in the center of this story, because, if we're taking The Rock's word for it, Ari Emanuel said, can we see the final boss? And The Rock said, let me think about it. And then he suggested this sell your soul story with Cody. And it seemed like he wanted to see like a little test polling, like if he keeps using that word test polling, but usually with test polling, it's like you have two options, but it looked like he wanted to see one option, which was, is the crowd looking for a Cody heel turn? And the thing is, especially right now, it's such an odd way to kind of tease it, because Cody is the babyface, the John Cena of this era, pretty much de facto wise. And with The Rock and being the catalyst for that John Cena heel turn, and him not really appearing or being mentioned during the story. I think Cody mentioned him one time offhandedly.
Yeah.
But it just kind of like makes his role kind of pointless. He was the catalyst that caused John Cena to turn heel, but now it's like the whole reason was John Cena's like, oh, you the fans are the problem. And then he would go to Cody. It's like, this is why I turned on you specifically. But there's like this big gaping hole of just like why Cena chose now as the time, and why The Rock was the convincing factor, because Rock gave him the signal.
Yeah.
So it's a bit emptiness of it all. I feel like it fell flat, and which is a shame, because Cody's matches, I'd say this one and the Solo Sikoa one at SummerSlam were the only two misses,
Yeah.
so to speak. And which is a shame, because those are the
going
two.
to happen too when you're a champion for a year.
Right. But at the same time, it's like those are the two big events of the year. So people are going to point to those as like, oh, look at his run. When he's had like a lot of good to great matches during his run. And with John Cena absolutely being the, the crescendo of it, it's a shame, at least match quality. I think people are kind of harping on Cody not hitting Cena with the chair. Because it's like, oh, he had no problem hitting this with Kevin Owens. But the story that they're trying to tell is that John Cena is Cody's idol, right? Or that's what they're trying to portray.
Yeah, but he already broke his heart.
he broke his heart, but at the same time, just looking at John Cena, like he saw a glimpse of the old John Cena when Cena was begging off, and it's like, remember in the Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair story where it's like the old yeller?
Behind the shed, yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't pull the trigger on old yeller, and that's the story of Cody being true trusting with the nostalgia factor of the old guard, which is why he gave his title shot up to The Rock in the first place as well. Like Cody is such like a historian that he like instantly caves to the older generation because he has so much respect for him and he wants to be like that older generation. So if they take it with that route, I could kind of understand the ending, but again, it fell flat. And pivoting towards this Backlash in St. Louis, Randy versus John Cena is a draw for a lot of old times fans. And with this being built one last time, hopefully they stick to it, because the last time they said it was going to be one last time.
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah, they didn't really do it. But it's intriguing to me. But my expectations, like going into the John Cena Cody match, are pretty low, and I wasn't really a big fan of this feud when it was happening in real time to begin with. So again, so I'm keeping my expectations in check, and that's not saying either of the workers are bad. It's just like it's been almost 10 years since their last solo match, and both of them are wrestling different styles than previously.
Like Cena and Orton goes together like peanut butter and jelly, but it doesn't really go like peanut butter and jelly in ring. Like, what's their best match for this to be an all-time feud? I think it's a top 5 feud for Cena all time, just because of the importance and the big monstrosity stars that they were in their era and are now, really. I think it's important and it should be top 5, but I don't think it's. I prefer Cena in Edge. I prefer Cena in Punk, right? Even Cena and AJ have had better matches.
No, yeah.
What is the best? If someone is listening and never watched a Cena Orton match, what is their best match?
I actually did a video on this for TikTok, and the best match that they've had together is one that no one remembers. And it
is what?
It's the Hell in a Cell match in 2014. The one with the worst build, where it's just like the build was
Is this before the title unification?
No, this is the one where Dean and Cena were fighting to see who gets Seth inside Hell in a Cell. And Randy was in a backstage segment. It's like, hey, whoever doesn't win this contract in the pole match, give me the other guy. And then that Hell in a Cell match became a contendership match for the Brock Lesnar Undisputed Championship match at the Rumble. So again, the story was not great during it, but they leaned on, hey, their history together, much like this match leaned on their history together. And because of that, the expectations weren't really set of being like, oh, this is going to be a modern day classic. And they actually did spots that, were not traditional from the norm, where it was Cena would do like, the 2 shoulder tackles. When he went for the second one, Randy caught him with an RKO. You had Randy get thrown off the super AA through a table inside the Hell in a Cell, where it's like you don't see Randy take that bump for anybody. So it's like with this one, it's like I feel like it's an under the radar hit for more like, I guess, traditional classic. People would always point to the I Quit match, probably their first encounter. People will say is their best one.
Yeah, I was going to say the
SummerSlam
best one was probably
2007.
SummerSlam 07. But it doesn't have like a shit finish.
No, it was just Cena goes over, and it's one of those things where it's like it was in the middle of the Randy Orton. They revived the Legend Killer gimmick for him, and this was Randy about to be like WWE champion like permanently, and it was like it was during a time where it was like the Signature Pharmacy scandal, the Benoit stuff. So they were trying to really hard to make John Cena and Randy Orton the 2 guys. Yeah. And it got to a point where they faced off against each other so often, or the perception was that they tried to do like that face off at the Royal Rumble 2011. And they did like, how they would do that stare down and everyone would cheer. Mm-hmm. There was no pop because everyone was just sick and tired of seeing John Cena and Randy. But those were the 2 top guys for a while, because Punk didn't break through until 2011. Yeah. Batista was gone by that point. And with John Cena and Randy Orton, those were the 2 constants that WWE had. It was usually Cena, Randy, Edge, and Triple H, and sometimes Taker and Shawn during that entire era. But it was just Cena and Randy being those 2 guys that got the opportunity and got chances at that point in time. But I would say, personally, for me, Hell in a Cell 2014 is probably their best from an in-ring standpoint match.
I didn't even fucking know that happened off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's like it's just like a classic that had such low expectations, and saying it's a classic is kind of a stretch. It was a really good to great match, but that's the chemistry between Randy and Cena were just like, it was good, but it was never like great. It wasn't like Rock Austin. It was never like Cena Edge. I consider a classic feud. Cena Punk, like you said, Cena AJ, and Randy had better opponents too. Like Randy had Christian, Randy had Edge, Randy had Mick Foley. He had like better people to work off of, and these 2 were like positioned as those top guys. But it's kind of like Stone Cold and Undertaker in a way, where it's like,
yeah, their '98 SummerSlam matches, like, that was it. It was pretty good, but it's just, it didn't really live up to the hype.
Like you thought it'd be more, Yeah. Like I think I like their First Blood match a lot, but it's like considering the fact of the talent that's in there, you thought they would have like all these classic different matches,
2 generational guys and whatnot.
Yeah, but it's like their chemistry was just okay. I would say like Randy and Cena's was a little bit better than okay at times, but again, their feud never really hit with me just because of how often I would see it as a kid.
Yeah, so it's like to call this the last time Mega Dream match, 2 iconic guys. That part's true. 2 iconic guys for sure. Mm-hmm. But there's a little, it really isn't what they're presenting it to be. But I bring that up I bring up the Cody Cena fallout, and I bring up this feud to be like, when these guys had that face off on Raw after WrestleMania, Cena had that, pretty decent promo. And then you had the sneak from behind RKO out of nowhere to present the threat that he could end them at any time with that RKO. And even when they had the SmackDown, talk off and the Cena with no kids, with you raising your kids, I thought it's felt pretty big. But these guys have been around since 2002, right? We're 23 years in now at this point, and they're pros, and the crowd wants it. So I'm not really worried that they'll have the investment. I'm just worried that they'll retain the investment in the match, because I feel that it's like, all right, it's going to be hot. Like that crowd was rambunctious at the start of the WrestleMania main event. And I'm curious if they will be here. I assume Randy in his hometown. It's the main event. There's going to be a mega entrance, mega pop. That's going to withstand once the bell rings and we're 5 minutes deep. And what are we looking at? Like they're like, fuck, we got fucking 20 minutes to fill here. And it's just like, I'm like you alluded to earlier, I'm a step behind. Orton's gassed to the gills. It's just, a lot of stalling. It's a lot of whatever.
I'm very curious about this match for a lot of reasons because one, this is the first time, at least on a big stage, where it's like Cena's the heel, Randy's the babyface.
Yes.
That only happened when they were in OVW. But now it's like not only that, you have a leaner John Cena, Hollywood John Cena, who's leaner. You have Randy, who's like built like a brick house. So it's like their styles are going to be different, like regardless of that. You have the St. Louis crowd, which is going to be totally pro Orton for a bit, which it is going to help tremendously.
Yes.
But at the same time, Randy's pace is usually, Randy's Randy.
I would try to mimic the Gunther from.
I was about to bring that out. Yeah,
but I don't even know if Cena could be compelling enough in the Gunther role of the beatdown. Right? He lost the zaniness and the wonkiness in the matches, which I hated and took me out instantly.
Well,
so
Cena's also very unorthodox. So, they used to say it like he's very unorthodox in his style. Where
kind of needs a step like this needs like a no hold bars, perhaps.
Like I would like it to have. I feel like that would put the pressure off a little bit, and loosen the expectations. There needs to be, I don't want to say a lot of Gaga because we got some Gaga in the WrestleMania match with Travis Scott, and that worked out as
right. By the way,
no, I don't see it.
There's gonna be a 2% chance because it happened before, right? So I hope fucking not.
Yeah, from what I see, it's like you're seeing Cena, like we alluded to in the promo on SmackDown, kind of play like those mind games with Randy Orton. I'm gonna erase your legacy, your family's legacy, everything like that. And they were building up like until Kevin Owens got injured, the Randy Orton punt, being a thing. So I could see like Randy going for the punt, just trying to tap into it, and then Cena catches him and then that's how the match ends, or like just like something that will catch Randy off guard, because Randy can eat a loss. It's too early for Cena to lose, hypothetically. And so it's one of those matches that feels like filler but shouldn't be, because we have a 3-week
filler
build.
in Cena's run, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because it's just like it's a safe match. It's a slam dunk of a match to have, because Backlash, St. Louis, Randy Orton, John Cena, historic rivalry.
Run. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like it's almost like a necessary match to have.
Yeah.
And it's going to be pretty interesting to see how these guys work together for not working for 8 to 10 years with each other. And I'm just really, again, the word I have with this match is curious, because I'm not expecting a lot out of it, but I also wasn't expecting much out of the Cody match. And so I came away from it, I'm like feeling like really empty.
I don't really get emotional with wrestling. On that post show, I was fucking pissed. I was pissed that they did Cody dirty, and the legacy of Cody is going to be with that. I'm pissed that Cena winning the belt was the result of Travis Scott and that nonsense. And I blame The Rock, and I think it's pretty much on The Rock.
The thing is, the thing is, it's like with that, it's like I'm sure we're gonna see a version of it while we're watching that WWE, like behind, what is it, the Unreal?
Sacrifice the WrestleMania main event for that. Fuck off.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not saying that's why they booked it that way. I'm just saying with like The Rock, like he did set up expectations, whether or not people want to agree with that or not. But Triple H, he is the booker. He does like outline creative, and I'm very curious because Travis Scott was always meant to be a part of that WrestleMania 41 show, but it was
forever,
it was initially for Rey Mysterio and Chad Gable. Yeah. So I'm wondering how we got booked in a higher position.
Did they pivot him with Uso because they gave him the entrance there? It's just
it's like I'm very curious to see like how they're gonna portray like the whole involvement, if they even address it, So. And it's just one of those things where in the long run, I don't think it's gonna harm Cody or Cena. I think it's definitely like a mark. It's like really, that's how he won 17. And people are like, oh, that's the point. You're supposed to be disappointed in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like when you watch wrestling, you want to be entertained. Even if like the bad guys are trying to like ruin something, quote unquote. You want to be
out of it.
Yeah, it's like you know me, right? I poke fun at the Death Riders from time to time from AEW. And it's not because I hate the Death Riders. I like all of them individually, but it's like if you do the same thing over and over again, I'm not going to care about it. I'm just going to be ambivalent towards it. I'm not going to be like, oh, this is heat, No, I'm just like, okay, this is it. And I don't want it to be a point with the Cena storyline where it's like, He does the same promo every time. It's like, oh, I'm gonna ruin wrestling. Lineage ends with me. And to be honest, it's like his promos against Randy, I have liked more than the promos with Cody, because like you could believe like these
A little
guys
more
have,
established too within this
yeah,
role.
exactly, like it's more established. With Cena and Cody, it wasn't like that relationship wasn't really established. We were kind of told about it
Yeah.
more than seeing it through our eyes. And
Then knowing about it, yeah, it's
yeah,
good.
you and I, we watched like the entirety of the John Cena Randy feud, and because of that, we just kind of look at just like, yeah, this is a believable route to take. And Cena being the heel in this scenario, other than being the baby face, is a like something they haven't done. And with Randy coming in and trying to be the one to stop him, it makes a lot of sense for it to be Randy. If Edge isn't there, then Randy's the one you go to next. Punk is there, but I think they want to probably kind of pivot towards Punk at a later date. So yeah, this is again a curious match, but again, my expectations are really super low for it.
I hope they do well, because both Orton deserves a good match and Cena needs a good match in a way, right? And so we'll see. But it kind of is like a crutch of like, I'm ruining wrestling. It's a crutch because if it's like, all right, well, if my matches suck, it's part of my gimmick, right? That's just fuck off. That's just lame. All right, let's play the what if before we get out of here. I think we both suspect and pick John Cena to win. But what if Randy Orton won?
If Randy were to win, one, it gets him closer to that.
It would put him at 15, right?
15, yeah.
Yep.
He would be at 15, I believe. And yeah, just by watching last night's SmackDown, which was
Not 3-hour show. Not a 3-hour show at all.
Yeah, and it's just like one of those things where it's like I got 2015 flashbacks for that quality of SmackDown. But you need to have people to work off of him, because that's the thing that I noticed watching SmackDown is like Cena's not there, Cody's not there, McIntyre wasn't there. You had Orton, you had Priest, you had LA Knight, but you didn't have like the stars like there. You know what I mean?
The main event was terrible. Sorry, women, but it was.
It's one of those things like coming into the show, like you had only two things advertised. That was Randy Orton talking and Miz versus Aleister Black. And if those are the two things that you're advertising on a 3-hour show, I think that's a little bit problematic, So it's like with Randy, he does have talent to work with, but it's very light. It's very light, at least on the SmackDown side. And we're not sure if or when a draft is coming.
Yeah.
And again, you could do the Orton Cody angle, but honestly, that's more of a SummerSlam, WrestleMania, maybe Survivor Series kind of thing to do. And I wouldn't even put Cody back in right away. I'd say just keep Cody off of TV for a little bit, just because, like, I wouldn't say he's overexposed, but we've seen a lot of Cody for a little bit.
I don't even see a landscape for Randy Orton to win. Maybe if they take the belt off Fatu, they can do a Fatu Orton thing.
Yeah, that's like the only person that I would agree like Fatu, maybe McIntyre. Like those were like
McIntyre, but they've done that. That was actually the last time in 2021 is when Orton held the belt. It was with McIntyre in the fallish.
Yeah, so it's just like there's not enough meat on the bone for where Randy Orton currently is to be like the world champion or WWE champion. So even though like the what if if Randy was on Raw, I would say there's probably a better shot of him being in a more of a like better position as a world champion as compared to now. But Randy Orton is more of that nostalgic face. He's in like that Randy Orton dad mode where it's like he's just kind of chilling. And it's like, I like him being chill. Like Randy Orton can be a fantastic heel, but he's in that point of his career where it's like, I don't think anyone wants to boo him. And I think he enjoys being a babyface. So it's one of those things. If he was a heel, he might have a little bit more to work with. But I think babyface Randy, there's not really much for him to do, especially being on the brand that he's on.
Yep. All right. I don't really see a scenario or a landscape for Orton to win. But honestly, I think it'd be a cool moment and be shocked. And I think Cena would be fine. It would be a unique pivot heading out. I don't really like Cena versus Cody for the belt when that time comes. It's inevitable, I assume, and fine, but
they wouldn't do the ending at WrestleMania if they weren't planning on Cody getting the belt back from Cena.
I know. All right, 2 other questions. Saturday night's main event for Cena, wrestling or an appearing?
I mean, I think that's where the rumored like Travis Scott match happens, you know, with him and Travis teaming up.
Interesting. All right. So
And
that's
then you
actually
could,
sooner than you would suspect.
yeah,
That's Memorial Day weekend.
and then or you could even do like a fun like squash if you want to do Cena versus Truth, you know what I mean? Because
Any chance we get Truth in this match? That's not the extra question, but that was interesting.
you know, R-Truth being like, you know, his childhood hero John Cena, like believing it, like Truth would be like a really fun like side character in the whole thing, but
They
at
could
the
play
same
Fiend, and then Truth can come out.
yeah, you know, I wouldn't do that.
Totally kidding.
But yeah, I think it'd be a fun side story to have. But I think when
It'd
people
be
think of
interesting.
like John Cena's retirement year, they don't see like a long story with R-Truth.
Yeah.
So I think like just like these interactions or a way to potentially turn R-Truth heel. It would be funny if John Cena, like when he turned babyface, that's when R-Truth turns heel, and then he's gonna be bad like his idol, you know. So it's like there are a couple ways you could go with the story, but with Saturday night's main event, I think we see a match because again, it's like it's his last Saturday night's main event. You know, I don't know what he would do appearance wise there.
All right. And my second question, and the last question:
Mhm.
yes or no? Randy Orton will win 18 one day.
It's gonna be close. I say he at least gets 17. I'm not sure about 18.
Okay. Interesting. Richie, it was great as always. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.